Hey everybody, this is Dream, and this is going to be a 3-game slate today for NBA. Before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? Now, the games don't start till 8:30 today, so that is a little bit later, and there's only 3 games. We still do have a pretty extensive injury report, though. However, there aren't too much when it comes to questionable tags, with the exception of the Grizzlies. So let's go and get into that injury report here. For the Bucks, Middleton is out. For the Grizzlies, Jackson Jr., Aldama, Kennard, and Gilliard are questionable. Rose is doubtful, and Morant, Bane, and Smart are out. Obviously, with all those questionable tags for the Grizzlies, that would definitely play into this slate, so we'll have to wait and see what we get on that stuff today. Looking at the Warriors, Chris Paul is out. Draymond Green may flop on the floor for 3 minutes during the game like he did yesterday, so to keep that in mind. He actually did that yesterday. That was pretty funny. The referees didn't even stop the game because he literally flopped without getting hit. It was one of the most hilarious things I've seen in a while in the NBA. So, yeah, he literally just laid on the floor covering his face when he didn't get hit by anything. It was super obvious. The refs didn't stop the game. They kept playing, and both teams scored over top of, well, the Warriors actually scored over top of them twice. Looking at the Utah Jazz, nobody is out today for them or questionable. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, Edwards is questionable. That could definitely open up some options here, like Anderson or McDaniels or Conley or even Naz Reid. Then we're looking at the Timberwolves, the Trailblazers. Brogdon, Sharp, and Williams are out. Henderson is probable today, so I suspect that there'll be a relatively decent strength today, but Minnesota should be able to take care of that game. Looking at the guys I like the most, Kessler is definitely my top option, as in the last 3 games he's been starting and he's done very well. His price has come up, but it's not come up too much where he's still viable here, though if he get to a double-double, it'd be actually super nice, and he'd definitely pay off if he does that. But even with what he did yesterday against the Lakers, that's pretty much what we need him to do day to day, and he should get 25 to 30 minutes in this game, so he's definitely my favorite play on the slate. The aforementioned Draymond Green is also in play today, as he is fantasy relevant at this price in these price ranges. However, he does have that low floor recently, but he's been playing pretty well despite the fact that he's flopping around on the floor. He always has that double-double, triple-double potential too, though he hasn't been very consistent at it lately. If we look, he's only had 1 double-double, even though he's had 10 of something several times recently. With that said, he's still a solid play on the slate. Jaden McDaniels looks like a really decent play today, as he's nice and cheap. Now, he had a bad game the other day, but he should be back to go today with a better situation, and he should be not shooting 0 for 7 again. Yeah, the last game, he was questionable with a left index finger sprain. I look for him to bounce back and have it close to 20 fantasy points today. Now, he doesn't have a high ceiling, but he's still a decent play, and if Edwards was to be ruled out, that would help him too. Keontae George had a nice, he had a nice game in his last game where he scored 34 fantasy points. He's been playing more minutes lately, and he's definitely going to draw some good potential here. He does have that low floor as well, so he's not a must-play, but he's definitely interesting on this slate against the Warriors. Looking at Steph Curry, Curry's been on a string of good games lately, and that's really helping the Warriors get some wins here. And he's had a couple bad games throughout the season, but he has a high ceiling. And even though he does have that low floor because he's been a little bit inconsistent, as long as he shoots plenty of threes and hits a bunch of them, then he'll be good. Looking at the amount of threes, he's shooting 16 threes a game the last 4 games. And he's hitting a lot of them. So as long as he's shooting like that, he's definitely somebody that you got to take a look at. And this is a pretty favorable matchup for a guard like him, so I think this is a solid opportunity for him to have a big game. Looking at Rudy Gobert, he's had 6 straight games over 37 fantasy points. Again, another guy that has a lower floor, but he's been playing really well lately for the most part, and this is a favorable matchup against Portland, so I think he's got some opportunity here. They did play Portland their last game too that he played, and he scored almost 40 fantasy points. So that's not too bad for us. And he's averaged 44 for the season against them. So I like his opportunity here, and he definitely has some nice potential. Obviously, with the injuries for the Grizzlies, this could definitely play into who gets into this starting lineup today. So we do need to keep track of that. But also for the Trailblazers, I do think that Simmons is a little bit expensive today, as is Grant, so it's hard to really roster anybody, and it's definitely in a tough matchup against Minnesota. The Golden State Warrior Utah game has the highest when it comes to the total for points. So this is definitely a game that you can take a look at for fantasy output. Obviously, with Kessler being a top tier play, Clarkson and George and Dunn all have some utility on the slate. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.